Now I'm delighted to welcome back to moderate the State of the Industry panel for the third year, Fox News and Fox Business anchor Melissa Francis, who will introduce our panelists. It's been my pleasure to join Melissa on her show After the Bell several times over the past few years. In fact, I was live with her yesterday from the KBIS show floor. We've talked about many of the hot-button topics affecting us all, including tariffs, housing market, trade, and skilled labor. After starting her professional life as a child actor, appearing in hundreds of commercials, movie, and TV roles, including as Cassandra Cooper Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, she studied economics at Harvard and became a journalist for CNBC and MSNBC. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our friend, Melissa Francis.
I love the walkout music. I need that on my show. Wow, it is so fantastic. Thank you so much, Bill. It's so great to be here with all of you guys again here in Las Vegas. I almost feel like I have a residency here. I got to build on that. I want to take a minute, though, this is not in the prompter, to brag on Bill because I don't know if you guys know what an effective and dedicated advocate you have. Everybody always asks me, how do I get coverage for my event? How do I get you to come to my show? How do I get Fox or Fox Business there? I see all these other shows. How can I do it? And the truth is that I can't wave a magic wand and make that happen. You have to sizzle. You have to be newsworthy. It has to be something that our viewers are going to want to see. And Bill is the one who went and sold that vision and got the coverage. I don't know if you saw Jeff Flock walking around here yesterday from Fox Business. He was on my show, and he was all across the networks all day yesterday when we weren't impeaching the president. He was there showing us how you could order shampoo while you're in the shower and showing us the automatic flush toilets, and it was really incredible. Bill has really been a tremendous advocate getting word out there about your industry, about what's going on, about the jobs, about the excitement, and he has thought of so many clever and effective ways that other people don't think of, especially the index that he brought up. That is all really effective representation for you guys. And just as an example, so last year, he came on my show from a local affiliate. This year, he took it up about 25 notches. I want to show you what he did. Do we have it? How to fill the jobs of tomorrow, many of which are sitting open today, and how do we bridge the gap between workers who fear automation and companies who can't find enough people to fill their human jobs. The National Kitchen and Bath Association is among those trying to solve this big problem. Joining me now is Bill Darcy, the National Kitchen and Bath Association CEO, and I know that you are live right now at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. It's a terrific gathering. This is one of the big problems that people talk about, though, that all the companies that are there have great paying jobs that are sitting open, and they're having a hard time finding workers. I know that as an industry, you guys are trying to do something about it. Tell me about the Next Up program.
Yeah, Melissa, there's about 750,000 jobs that are scheduled to open within just short of 6 years. So, this is a huge issue for our industry. Jobs are taking longer and costing more. So we're launching a Bridge Year NKBA Career Tour program where we are going to introduce the trades, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, showroom sales, design, to 24,000 high school juniors and seniors over the next 3 years.
No, it's amazing. I know that you're looking to get into 35 schools by 2020 within 3 years. You think it'll be 24,000 high schools in 9 different cities. And what you do basically is you go into the gym and you set up a lot of displays of what careers are actually out there, because not a lot of kids realize that no matter what it is your skill is, there's a good paying job for you in your industry. It doesn't have to be about plumbing or working with your hands, whether you're an artist, you're a coder, you're a designer. Whatever it is that your skill is, there's something there for you. But you've said before, you got to start catching kids in middle school and in early high school, right?
You do. Yeah, you have to introduce them when they start kind of paying attention to what their life's going to look like, or while they're watching mom and dad or whatever they're doing. So, there's so much opportunity in our industry, and the diversity that it offers gives young people, whether they want to work with their hands, their mind, or both, math skills, none. You know, it's across the board. There's so many opportunities, and I think giving this hands-on, you know, act out the role of a showroom salesperson or a kitchen designer for a few hours, really feel what it's like, not go to a job fair and, you know, kind of get the story, understand what it's about, and play the part for a few hours. And we launched our first one on January 10th in Houston, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about what you're doing is you're not relying on the school system to identify and teach kids these skills. Instead, you're bringing together the company that needs the worker with the students. Part of that is getting the school to cooperate with you because you have to get in there. Is that difficult?
Well, yeah, and that's part of the reason why we partnered with Bridgeyear, because they had already had an inroads with the school system in Houston market. So they have this great program that sometimes involves our trade, sometimes didn't. So we are now introducing an exclusive program just for our industry. But they already had the relationships. We also have 300 high school students coming tomorrow to KBIS. So we have a great relationship with the Clark County School District right here in Las Vegas, where KBIS is happening right now.
No, I mean, you really stand out as a model for other industries, and I know pretty much every industry in the country is going through this, and the way that you reach out directly to the kids and kind of, you know, work with the school system, but it's the onus is upon business to go out and find and train workers as opposed to waiting for our educational system to catch up. I really commend you. I think other people should look at the way you guys are doing it. Bill, Darcy, thank you so much, and congratulations on the big show. Right.
Great. We have 95,000 people here over these 3 days in Vegas and educating a lot of people about what's going on in design trends and technology in our industry. So
this is where he stole a couple extra seconds there after I was wrapped. I don't know if you saw that technique. That's a real pro who just extends the interview there. Some of the things that you saw that's worth noting is the whole time we were watching that interview, in the background, you saw energy, you saw people of all different walks of life, race, gender, everything behind him walking around looking engaged and fascinated in your industry. You saw your members there as well. I mean, there was so much energy. It draws so much attention to what you're doing. We also posted this clip to the Fox Business website. You can go see it. I tweeted it out. It's in a lot of places. It's playing very well for us. There are lots and lots of people that are clicking on it right now and watching that interview over and over again. So I don't know if you know what a terrific job Bill is doing for you, and I don't know how much he brags on himself when I'm not here, but he is really doing a tremendous job, and he's become an expert when we do those interviews. He's done about 4 or 5 with me, and it's really great. So Bill, I hope I didn't embarrass you. While you were talking before, I heard a couple people behind me say, wow, that's fantastic. So let's just give, before we get started, one more round of applause. Yeah. I mean, people ask me all the time, and other people haven't been able to do that, so I really commend you. Anyway, we'll get on to the rest of our program now. I'm so happy to welcome a really terrific panel this morning. These experts from different corners of the industry will help shed light on business performance and expectations, key issues like trade regulations, sustainability in the supply chain, wellness integration and design, and more. So here they come. Our first panelist joins us from the world of luxury cabinetry. I love that. With more than 20 years of international executive experience in supply materials and services to the construction and remodeling market, Mikael Åkerberg joined Nobilia in 2009. He was named Chief Executive Officer in North America in 2017. He earned his MBA at IHM Business School in Sweden, and he worked at several global companies, including Saint-Gobain and Geldwen. I hope I didn't butcher that, forgive me. At Nobilia, he has built sales and logistic structures to fulfill wholesale and retail demands, as well as supplying the construction industry globally. Nobilia is a leading European kitchen manufacturer, headquartered in Germany, and has supplied over 700,000 fully accessorized kitchens in more than 90 countries. Wow. Let's welcome Mikael to the stage. Oh yeah, gotta do the walk-up music. All right. Good stuff. All right, next up, we have the Chief Marketing Officer of one of the world's leading water technology and plumbing manufacturers, LIXIL Americas, home to iconic brands American Standard, DXV, and Grohe. I hope I did that well too, my pronunciation here. This is brutal. Katty Pien leads the company's overall brand marketing, innovation strategies, and portfolio management. Before joining LIXIL, Katty had 2 decades of global marketing experience with top consumer packaged goods companies including Unilever, Nestle, and Johnson & Johnson. She was named an Ad Age Top 50 Marketer and won a Cannes Lion Award from the Cannes International Festival of Creativity and earned a Gold Effie and a Gold Clio. Katty holds an MBA from Stanford and a BS in Operations Research and Industry Engineering from Cornell. Wow, please welcome Katty Pien. Thank you. All right, our next executive has logged 3 decades in the appliance category and was appointed president of Dacor, a leading American luxury home appliance brand, in 2018 after Samsung acquired the company. Randy Warner began his career with Maytag and held many sales and sales management roles across the US. He launched and led the builder division for Electrolux, and he joined the Sub-Zero Group West team as VP of Sales, overseeing West and Southwest distributorships. He ultimately rose to president of Sub-Zero Group West and Southwest distribution, overseeing sales, marketing, operations, and customer service. Woo! Randy holds a Bachelor of Science degree in marketing from the University of South Florida in Tampa. Please welcome Randy Warner. Hey, Randy.
Thanks.
All right. And finally, from the luxury media arena, we welcome Adam Sandow, chairman and CEO of SANDOW. Adam founded his media company in 2003, weaving together innovation, technology, and design excellence. His first magazine, New Beauty, oh, I like that one, a guide to cutting-edge cosmetics and beauty products, launched in 2005 to critical acclaim with more than 500 advertising pages. Later that year, he introduced Luxe Interior and Design, a high-end shelter media brand. Between 2008 and 2011, the company acquired several titles in luxury and design, most notably Interior Design Media, a global multi-platform design industry leader. Through startups and acquisitions, he has created a dynamic company using his portfolio assets across print media, consumer products, marketing services, consulting, and more. Please welcome Adam Sandow. Great job. All right, woo, now that we got through all of that, let's get to the heart of the discussion here. And I want to build on that topic that I was talking to Bill yesterday about on television, this whole idea of the labor shortage, of where you find people, and at the same time, it's compounded by the technology in your industry, which is moving at a lightning pace. I mean, as a homeowner, I can't believe the technology that's in my kitchen and my bathroom. It's astounding, it's dazzling, but I can't imagine, other than my 13-year-old, who could go out and program that. Adam, I want to start with you, because you were on my show about a week ago, and you were talking about how you built your business, your distribution center, from the ground up, and you started with robotics. But the reason why we wanted to do the story is because our audience fears, robotics kind of taking over all of the jobs. And your story is fascinating because the humans that you do have working there earn a much better wage than their counterparts in the surrounding community. And I think that's a terrific message. Tell us a little bit about building that business.
Sure. So we launched Material Bank, a technology platform and marketplace for materials, in January of last year. In order to attain the service levels of a midnight cutoff and a delivery of any material anywhere in the United States by 10:30 the next morning, we had a very, very tiny window to do all of that fulfillment, very complex fulfillment. So we had to build a logistics facility from absolute scratch. We had the benefit, actually, of a clean sheet of paper to build this logistics facility in Memphis. When we started to see how labor is treated in the fulfillment industry, especially in a place like Memphis, it's all temp labor, it's all on demand, very, very low paying jobs. So we made the decision, and it was honestly nothing more than an experiment that I wanted to do, where I said if we were to become the highest wage payer for warehouse workers in Memphis, but we made the investment with a lot of robotic technology, and we made that investment up front to build it out, we would need a lot less people. But that would give us the ability to have the speed, the service levels, and the low error rate to pay these people a lot. So we paid $17.50 an hour starting salary. Now in Memphis, $12 an hour is a really good wage. Most places are paying $12. We made that decision to pay $17.50, and because of the automation and because of the robotics, the efficiency we gained net was a big win, a big savings, and we wanted to see, would we get that productivity, would we get that retention, and indeed we have. We've got about 65 people in the facility already, and it has been an unbelievable success, where even our warehouse leadership team said, this is Memphis, you don't pay $17.50, this is what you do. And we've seen it, we've proven it.
Were you tempted to pay less? Because, I mean, how did you come up with that number of $17.50 versus the 12?
We did a lot of research. We wanted to go way beyond what we thought was the top end in the market. And it really came from a lot of warehouse visits where you'd always see that one or two person in the warehouse that went above and beyond.
Yeah.
It was that rock star. And I said, I want a whole team of those people. I want to pull them from all the places, and I want to establish that level. And it was honestly an experiment. And I said, look, worst comes to worst, the first 10, 20 people, we give that rate, and then we could always drop it. But we've absolutely seen it pay off in ways that we've converted some pretty jaded warehouse leadership that thought they knew it all. So it's a really great example of automation working with people. And frankly, the younger people love working with the robotics. It's made it interesting.
That is a great point, because as you know, I have kids, they love robotics. They're so excited of any career, you know, boy, I could have they go to the maker space, they're doing circuits, they're doing, and the idea of a career where essentially in their mind you're playing with toys, you know, is very appealing. I'm sure all of you know, but Adam's business is, you know, you need samples when you're going to decide what you're going to do. And we all know that when you look at it online, you have an idea, but there are so many things you have to actually touch and see the color in person. And his idea was to put them all in a box and get your samples to you, to the designer or whoever it is, the next day, so they can actually see the materials. So what's fascinating to me about your story, and you know, this is another one of the things that struck me, is that you're using the best of technology to answer a problem that technology couldn't.
Right.
You know, like technology couldn't bring you the feel of the material and the real color and the texture and what is it like. I mean, before I commit to something in my house that I'm going to be living with for at least a decade, I want to see that tile. I want to see that piece. So that's where technology can't. But then you use technology to solve that. Go ahead.
We did.
It's
well,
brilliant.
Look, we're seeing in the K&B industry now. Materials, color has never been more important than it is now. We're watching all the trends on our media side of the business. Texture, materials, color, the most important things. And when you have the ability to create appliances that are customized and configure, you have to sample. And we saw that. We knew that no matter what you do, you're never going to simulate. I don't care if it's a haptic feedback of and virtual reality goggles, you're not going to simulate the finish on a piece of stone for a counter. You have to review the physical sample before you make a buying decision. So we built that platform to facilitate that in a way that is logistically and sustainably beyond what the industry could provide. And the automation was a big part of that to deliver that experience that is as old school as it gets, which I want to see my paint sample, I want to see it all. So it's a necessity, and we're solving it with technology.
So before we dive deeper into technology, let's talk about labor a little bit more. Katty, you know, you have perspective on this. There are a lot of jobs that are open every single month, and I know that there are so many people in the audience who need skilled labor and can't find it.
Yeah, Melissa, we're really happy that American Standard had actually been advocating for plumbers for the past 60 years. We started with the Plumber Protects the Health of the Nation program. And we knew that there was a lot of myth and misperception about the plumber industry. So this year we actually took action. we conducted a proprietary piece of research to understand why is it that young adults are not going into the plumbing industry. And we found that 78% of them think that the plumbing industry is grueling and dirty work. Imagine this, they think that plumbers walk around with a plunger, but if you look around the KBIS show, there's so much innovation, so much excitement, so much technology, it goes way beyond that. And we found that actually today's plumbers, 90% of them are satisfied with their job. Yeah. Imagine another industry with such high job satisfaction. So the key to this is actually education. We're really happy that NKBA is stepping up into this realm because we've also participated. This year we actually hosted Tools and Tiara. And we welcome high school girls into our Piscataway office, where we help them understand what it's like and encourage them to go into trades, because we want diversity. Yeah. And so we're very excited about these opportunities.
Yeah, Randy, maybe you want to speak to that a little bit, because I think one of the things that struck me is that when you watch that video of the kids in the gym going through, I mean, when that one kid lit up the booth and just the look on his face, he was so excited. And when the kids actually got in there and had the hands-on experience, they saw what was possible and what they could be doing.
One of the things that's changed dramatically in the last 10 years is vocational schools. And we used to, in my previous employment, we used to supply vocational schools that had appliance service experience with free product, just to help educate them and help teach. It's hard to find a vocational school today. Yeah. And most of them that have gone to an online platform, so there's no hands-on learning in that. So what Bill and the NKBA team are doing with this next step is fantastic. We want to be a part of that. If there's anything we can do to help Bill with regards to the service side of the appliance business, which is very difficult, the installation part of the business, which is very difficult. So we have an obligation not to just sell the product, but we also have to do a tremendous amount of work to get it installed properly, and that takes training, and there's not a lot of people out there to do that. So
no, and you guys are so smart to jump into this now, because I think all industries are realizing that there's so much focus on the liberal arts education. There's so many kids that are going to college and coming out in huge debt, and they have a degree that there isn't a job for. Maybe they enjoyed getting it, but it's not helping them get a job. And the school system in general is not changing rapidly enough in order to produce the workers that you all need. And one thing that Bill said maybe 2 years ago that is really true is reaching down into middle school. I have a middle schooler, and he's already thinking very hard about what he wants to do, and he's dazzled by robotics and by coding, and to say, look, here are these Lego robotics, and he goes to those competitions, and to say, you like doing that? Well, there's a career in our industry. You guys are so smart to get in there and snatch those kids up, because the school system is never going to come up with it. You talked a little bit about installation, and Mikael, that's something you were talking to me about backstage that I thought was fascinating. It's the idea that you have to, part of dealing with the labor situation is getting, what did you say, less installation, or it's less complicated? What was that?
Yes, so what Nobilia has done here for quite many years is to develop the product to be easier to install, but also faster. And that has been driven due to that there has been shortage of skilled laborers, not only here in the US, but also across over Europe. Besides that, we have something we call a Nobilia Academy, where we train everything from sales to designers to technicians and also installers. Try to attract the young people, but also people that wants to change their professions. And as a newly established company here now in the US, we also will bring that in to US. And there will be some interesting discussions how we can cooperate also with government in order to facilitate this.
No, that's fascinating. And one analogy that I took away from this meeting last year that I've now used on the air so many times is, and I can't remember, one of our panelists said it last year, that education has to become like a highway, where you get on and you have the training, in your industry, and you get off and you work for a while, but then you're going to get back on. and learn more as you go on. My husband's in finance, and they hire a lot of coders to do quant programs, and he said, I wish that I could take 6 months off and learn to code. We have to get to a system where you're getting retrained, and you see it with medical professionals. They have to go get recertified and get up to date. And I wonder, I would ask any of you, whoever wants to speak to it, how do you envision the future, as a business owner, keeping your employees up to date and getting them back out as things change so quickly? Is that something they can learn in the company? How do you see that?
Well, I think first, if you want to get to the true heart of the employment problem, to me, you look at two things. You look at school. Obviously, we know fundamentally schools are broken. The idea today of a top private school memorizing facts and history and things that are wonderful, but kids are completely unprepared. They're in fantasy land, honestly, when they graduate. The bigger problem is go spend an hour on TikTok, right? That's the platform that's going beyond belief. Spend an hour on it. You'll see video after video of make $300 a day flipping things on Amazon. Do this, do that. It's all easy. Go buy 3 homes, make $200 a week, build. And there's thousands of these people that are programming kids where they're memorizing facts in school and not getting that. And the hands-on approach to me is gold. That is, to me, the antidote for flipping through pages of why would I go get a job doing anything when I can go flip this thing and make $200 a day and sit home and play on my phone and do it from Starbucks. And this isn't a little thing. This is prevalent. This is what kids are seeing. So when you've got that mentality of memorization at school and everything on Instagram looks easy, everything on TikTok looks wonderful, it's an easy job. And I think the hands-on approach is absolutely critical. And honestly, a little bit of education on the stability of a career, because the flipping on Amazon is another year or two till that margin closes up.
Right.
The next little get-rich-quick thing is going to close up.
Yeah.
Nothing lasts, right? So kids need to really understand, and I think even employees need to understand the longevity of a career. I have a nephew who's going to college, and I said, you better make sure you don't go after a career that AI will just eat. You'll graduate 2 years in, AI has taken that over, there's no career.
Well, isn't AI going to take over everything? What do you say is, what do you tell them is safe?
You know what? When you look at the day that a robot will go in and install a kitchen, we're not going to be in our lifetime. No matter how advanced they are, it's not going to happen in 50 years, where robots will go in and install the kitchen, in my opinion. That to me is a long-term job. So I think it's getting in those kids' head also saying, 10 years from now, how are you going to have the house and the car and the vacation and have that stable, nice life that the tradespeople have? They've been able to build very good careers that are very solid. So when you understand and you start to train them that there's a long-term career, this isn't a 2-year kind of easy thing, it's a long-term career. And I think that you've got to look at and educate those kids on making sure they don't go down the road of something that will be completely disrupted. Because we know there are entire categories of work today that'll be gone. And it'll start tipping it, the classic example of the Uber driver. There's amazing Uber drivers. Until the driverless cars are prevalent, there's no more Uber drivers. That whole category will disappear. So I think educating the kids and even employees on career paths like that is as critical. And the hands-on, that combination to me is the counter to flipping on Instagram saying life's easy.
But maybe, okay, so let me challenge that idea, and whoever wants to take this, maybe it's about being flexible. You talk about the Uber driver, these are the people with the side hustle who had the initiative to go out and to be disciplined, be their own boss, figure this thing out, do this new thing. I might argue that they're the ones that are most equipped to go do something else when AI does take over that lane. Maybe it's about teaching people that, your career, your job, you have to be adaptable. You have to go back and get more training.
Sure.
You have to, I don't know, anyone want to speak to that? Go ahead, yeah.
I think that you're right that we have to teach the young kids today that they have to be resilient, because we're now projecting that young kids will go through multiple careers in a lifetime, very different than when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And I think we have a responsibility to teach them that a 4-year college isn't the only way, right? And we see a lot of kids graduating with heavy debt. That they can't repay, but there are a lot of different ways to make it, and skilled trades is one of them. In a study that we did, more than 80% of the plumbers today, they're making great money. They love the money they're making. So, a college career isn't the end-all be-all for everyone.
Yeah. Mikael, you want to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking, it just popped up in my head here when you were talking, is that maybe we should not be afraid that IA and robots and so on will take over things and we have nothing to do. I think it could be also quite a lot of support, and maybe the job we have today will change instead and just to disappear. I was just thinking, imagine a kitchen installer today with some Google glasses and running into some problem or some issues and get information and advice how to do it or what to do and so on. Maybe that could be a support, and it also changes what kind of knowledge you actually need in order to install a kitchen in the future. And it also puts how we should educate them. So maybe you need to be a tech nerd in order to install a kitchen in the future instead.
Well, I think as augmented reality, which I think will be one of the true game changer technologies that in a few years when Apple finally comes to market with a product, when you can have augmented reality helping to guide you on that kitchen install, suddenly it becomes a little bit more interesting. You can do things you didn't know. Their fear factor is taken away because everything can be done. Microsoft, when they announced the HoloLens, the Generation 1, they had this incredible example of used in the field. And it was someone under a sink. And it was augmenting the reality of a wrench and showing which way to turn and how to do it. And it was very interesting. And that will be a technology that I think 10 years from now, I believe that kitchen installers will have those glasses, as many will, and it will help them and make the job more interesting and faster and more efficient. And I think appeal to younger people for sure.
Randy, let me ask you, he mentioned the fear factor. And I would imagine, as we talk about the intersection of there is so much technology now that has taken over the kitchen and bath industry. I'm shocked. We lived in one home for 7 years and moved into another brand new home, and just the difference in the automation and the things that were available, it was astounding, but it was a little bit scary. When I went in, I'm like, I don't know, if there are more things that are automated, are those more things to break? How will I reprogram it when this happens? And I imagine that's from a consumer point of view. I would imagine from a manufacturer, retailer, like all up and down the chain, it's delightful, but it's terrifying. So I would ask each of you, and Randy, you start, how do you balance that?
Yeah, it's a challenge for us. We participate in the higher end or luxury segment of the business. And so you have to know who your audience is. As I think you mentioned, or Bill mentioned, we're owned by Samsung. So Samsung owns Dacor and purchased the company in 2016. We have as much technology at our disposal as we would want. However, the consumer who purchases our product today is not as comfortable with technology in that facet. So we have it, we cautiously put it out to the market. However, we don't lead with technology. We lead with style, design, craftsmanship first, with technology on the back burner. All of our products have fully capable, it's all Wi-Fi, you can use your phones, it connects to smart things. However, I don't believe today somebody is really utilizing that to its capacity. It's coming. Samsung is driving that for that millennial customer in our world. We'll get there, but we're not there today. That's not who we go after today.
I'm with Randy on that. I think for us at LIXIL, what we want to do is to make sure we're delivering products like technology that consumers actually want and need. It's not technology for technology's sake. And it's important to keep in mind of that as we develop. But what we do know is actually in that consumer journey to purchase, 2 out of 3 consumers are actually empowering themselves to do research online. And before they make that purchase that they're going to live with for the next 8 to 10 years, they're reading up on reviews. They're using visualization to imagine what the products would look like in their homes. And that technology is actually very helpful to the consumer. And even think about how consumers make their purchase decision. How many of you guys make a purchase decision without looking at ratings and reviews? We all do that. And consumers are doing that, so we have to ensure we're helping to inform the consumer in a way and support her or him with the technology that she finds helpful and makes her purchase journey a lot easier.
Adam, I mean, your business is all about that,
Yeah.
because it's fascinating. You know, when I think, again, I'm looking at it from the consumer point of view, I'm going to narrow down my choices by looking online,
Yep.
but then I need to touch and see in person.
Well, I always like to go to best in class. Apple has taught us a couple things, right? When it comes to technology, they're never the first ever.
Right.
They're always the best. Why? Simplicity. You can't screw it
Yeah.
up. It's locked down. It's simple. And I think that as technology comes into the kitchen, to the bath, it's got to be simple and take away friction. And we look at every technology business that we own, anything that we do. Does it remove friction? Is it simple? Without that, it's impossible. And I know a lot of early technology. Look at car technology. You can't figure out how to hook something into Bluetooth. It's insane. Like those
Yeah.
kinds of things
Yeah.
are frustration points where people then, they want the technology, but then they become afraid or annoyed. So we always look at those companies. Tesla's a great example. My father's 70, has a Tesla. He gets downloads, he gets updates. They've made it very, very simple. So I think that technology is important, but it has to take away friction. It
Yeah.
can't just be gratuitous. It has to remove friction, make someone's life easier. And I think if you can do that as a company, and usually those are the harder interfaces. It's much harder to do that. It's easy to make complicated things.
Right.
It's really hard to make it simple. In everything we do when it comes to technology, we have a lot of technology aspects and businesses. Simplicity, no friction, and that's how you win. And that I think is what the consumer is going to want, and not gratuitous features that they never use and almost overcomplicates things.
That's brilliant.
One thing to add to that
Yes,
real quick.
please.
So technology, we think about it here as an app or a phone or doing something interactive. There's also a lot of technology that gets built into the product that helps enhance your life, whether it's steam cooking or healthy fry or things like that. That is good technology because it serves a purpose that can enhance a consumer's experience. Everybody would want that if they knew the benefit of it, and it's not hard. So those are easy technologies that are being built into product today that you don't have to use a phone.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that the thinking is done, just put the meat in the unit, press the button,
Right.
come back, it's done.
Yeah.
That's where I think that especially when it comes to K&B, the consumer is going to want it when they understand it's simple and they get comfortable with it, and it's push button and it's simple and it's not complex.
I also think key here is that it can connect more than just maybe the appliances, but also to the lighting or,
Sure.
or the
Yeah.
kitchen openings and whatever.
That's the hard part. That's the break for a lot of customers, that they have an app for lighting, they have an app for the doorbell, they
Yeah.
have an
Right.
app for their refrigerator, they have an app for their washing machine. So something that can bring all that together
It's a
and
wonderful
work
thing,
and really work is valuable.
And it seems like people aren't, well, I can never tell if people are worried about privacy or not. You know, they say at CES, that was the #1 topic, was privacy. On the other hand, we're looking at a shower head that's listening to you in the shower where you can order stuff. And I gotta say, when I'm in the shower alone, that's kind of the only time I can think without my kids saying things. And I always think of things I have to do and get while I'm in the shower. So I can see where this thinking comes from. But then again, you've invited someone into your shower with you. So I don't know. I mean, what mixed signals?
But you know what? That's interesting because I have a 16-year-old son, and every time he goes to the bathroom, he takes his cell phone with him.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
I'm like, okay, 16-year-old boy, is that
Yeah.
normal? I'm doing online research.
Yeah.
And, I mean, actually, I don't know if you'll admit it, but a lot of people what we found was actually 3 out of 4 people going to the bathroom with their phone.
Well,
Well,
all right, I don't want to think about that, but
I've got 2 daughters, 12 and 16. I have raised them, getting them used to the fact that there isn't privacy.
Yeah.
That the photo you send your friend or the thing you
Oh.
post online will come back.
Yeah.
And you have that Russian company that has 100 million people using a face modification app that now has given away all rights to their imagery. So I've really tried to ingrain it in their heads that there's not a lot of privacy, and I think that that's going to become more and more of a challenge
Yeah.
as everything is interconnected. And unfortunately, I think that's part of life. When Jeff Bezos's phone can get hacked,
Right.
And everything from that phone downloaded and sent overseas,
Right.
you know, I don't know how much privacy we have, and I think that honestly,
I mean, if you can't trust
younger
the Saudi
generation
prince, who can you trust?
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
you know,
come on.
it's it's pretty amazing. But I think that younger generation, I think they're already used to it.
They are.
So let me ask each of you, because we're starting to run out of time. And this is my favorite question at this kind of thing. What do you see that people around you are either missing or getting wrong? What do you look at and you go, no? Again, I know you. I'll give you I'll tap dance for a second here and let you think about it. Something where you look around and you're like, no, I don't think they've got it right. I think they're looking at it from the wrong perspective. Anybody brave? Anybody want to go first?
I mean,
you're very brave.
Thank you.
I love that about you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Look, I think that we live in a world where business models are shifting and changing incredibly quick. Mm-hmm. There's never been more opportunity ever in the world. There's never been more competition. It's never been harder because of the way that everything is changing. Marketing completely changed. Running a dealer, if you're a kitchen dealer, it's changed. You know, I'm seeing very sometimes scary trends that I'm watching, and businesses are absolutely, in many cases, not all, completely sleeping at the wheel. Things are changing really, really quick, and we're seeing it. We see it in media, we see it in every industry. And then you have disruptors that come in like a Tesla and say, well, why do we need showrooms? Why can't you just buy a car online? And it's the most valuable car company in the world. I think they're now above Volkswagen. A little crazy, but incredible, right? When you can do those things. So I look every day I see things and I'm like, it's nothing is easy, but wow, people are still driving straight when they have to zigzag. And sometimes it's that innovator's dilemma, you can't, and other times it's ego, other times it's just people are afraid. But we see it in almost every business. Businesses need to really think very differently. And I don't know of a business that today can just go, no, we've got it, and we just go down the road.
I think flexibility is very important key in the future, how to plan your business. That also complicates how you will do investments and so on as well, because you don't really know what the future will bring in the same way as in the old days. And also keeping focus on the short terms and still having the long terms.
For sure.
That is the challenge.
So anybody else, what is everybody getting wrong?
Well, you know, I take a fresh perspective to the industry because I'm new to the industry, been here for about 2 years. And what I see is an industry that's actually quite complex, and I think is ready to be disrupted by technology and startups because it's so complex. And I think e-commerce is going to be taking over. We've seen in our business significant double-digit growth, but I see that there's continued to be a lot of opportunity to be taken in maturing and helping consumers. I was talking to a colleague last night, and he was telling me he has his son who's 30 years old, just bought a house, and they're refurbishing and remodeling, and they're buying everything online, and they're looking at reviews, they're looking at content, they're texting him and his wife, texting each other. It's
Just buying everything online.
That's the millennial shopping. That's how they're buying. So how are businesses adapting to how consumers want to shop rather than how we've always done business?
Yeah. So they buy everything online. Are they installing it themselves?
I think that varies. I don't think they have time.
Yeah.
So Melissa, that's the challenge for our segment of the appliance business is if we didn't have the help of all these people sitting in the room here, it'd be a nightmare to buy a product online and install it in your home. The return rate of that would be astronomical. What we sell is a puzzle to put into a very luxury kitchen. If somebody's spending $100,000 on a kitchen, they're going to take the time to invest in a designer to make sure all that's right. If you just purchase that online and ship it to the house, number one, a range is 400 pounds. A refrigerator is 300 pounds, and you're putting these together. It's not easy. So we're at a little bit of a barrier in our segment just because of size, weight, and honestly, installation is very difficult. So I think we're protected at the time from e-commerce, but that'll get solved. That will get solved.
But then does it become about, and Mikael, this is something that you said to me backstage before we started, that it becomes about service. You know, because it's
100%.
about, you've made this wonderful product. Maybe somebody wants to buy it and shop for it online. They don't want to go to a place, but they still need the help in the installation and that sort of thing. So it's like, is that a person that you hire to send out? Is it a partner in each community? I mean, how do you solve that kind of problem of needing to marry the service with the customer that wants to look at everything online and buy online and not go anywhere? That would be me.
I think the responsibility is just not to create a great product and try to sell it, even if it's on e-commerce or if it's in traditional showrooms or whatever. It's also to see the complete package. And how do you make that distance where you don't really know where you're going to sell it online and so on as well? That is a tricky part, and I think technology there will help as well. I can't say how it will look in the future, but I'm quite sure we need technology in order to solve it.
Yeah, I think that the physical need to look at products and understand them isn't going to go away. I think the physical need to have a great kitchen designer that will help you plan isn't going to go away at the higher end. At the lower end, you might find a kitchen, plug and play, $15,000, boom, configure it online, different. But at the higher end and the higher you go, it's actually a fun process. And I think that, like retail, that's completely and utterly failing, they'll figure it out because they're going to make retail more of an event, more enjoyable, more of an experience.
Right.
And I think that the idea of going to look at these products in a showroom with someone that's educated that can give you ideas and show you things you didn't know existed, I don't think that's going away. And I don't think that the high end will go and configure a $200,000 kitchen online and ship it. I don't. I think those millennials that might do it now, and it's a big segment of the lower end, may, as they finally build that dream kitchen, I think it's a process, and we see it with all of our, in the media side, it's an enjoyable process that I think homeowners want to take part in and explore. And that's what I think at the high end is an infinite opportunity. I just think those showrooms need to get even more engaging, and we're seeing it. We're seeing cooking and demonstrations and interactivity, and that to me isn't going away.
So make it an experience for those clients and customers who want the experience, the people who would choose to go to the fun Target over ordering online from Amazon or running into Walmart. There's going to be that group, and then there's also the group that's going to want the very affordable, very practical plug and play. And it sounds like one of the things that one of you said at the beginning, that know your audience at all times.
Sure.
Know your audience wherever it is, and that's what it's going to be about. It's very similar to television in the sense that being broad doesn't work any longer. There's nobody's going to, that's what's wrong with the evening news, is it's trying to be everything to everyone, so it ends up being nothing to anyone, and it just is vanilla, and everybody goes into their niche, so at all times, you kind of know your audience and go and get them. Anyway, fantastic panel. Thank you guys so much for coming up here. We really appreciate it. I mean, such great insight on the economy and labor. Thank you.
Great.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Terrific show. Now everybody get out there and go look at everything. Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Good.